All right, so good morning. It feels a lot earlier than it is. Haven't done a live feed in a little while, and I thought this morning I'd take a few minutes and we'd carve time for a live feed out. Nick, you are first. How's it going? I know it's been a little while. I wanted to talk about the P word. Quick Williams, good morning. Charles Brand, how are you? This is a live feed if you're catching it on the recorded version. So while we're waiting for a couple people to come in, I'm going to tell you kind of how my morning started off. I had a late night. In fact, I went to bed last night. I didn't sleep, that's always a frustrating thing, because when I went to bed, I was tired and sleepy, and it didn't happen. At some point, I got up. I went to grab a cup of water. Here's the thing, really quickly. So as a lot of you guys know, I'm down here. I intended to buy a house, not build a house. All my stuff is in storage back in Colorado. By all my stuff, I mean all my stuff. I had to buy silverware and all that stuff. What I didn't buy was like a lot of cups. I just went to Costco. I bought like a gazillion red Solo cups. I have an entire cabinet, like 2 cabinets full of Solo cups. Last night at some point in time, I got some water. Set the Solo cup on like the island. This morning, Briggs wanted dog food. Guess what I used to scoop his dog food out? A red Solo cup. Some of you guys see where this is going. So this morning, I'm cracking a hard-boiled egg, and I'm thirsty, and I fill the red Solo cup up that I thought I used for water. And as I'm like, what is that in my mouth? It's chunks of dog food. That's how this morning has started for me. And so I thought it was time for some caffeine. Shadow Wolf's in the house. Good morning, sir. So that was time for caffeine at that moment. And so I want to talk about the P word. Last night I was doing a kind of a multi-stream live feed with a few guys. And I want to kind of preface this because a lot of guys take my very dry, sarcastic sense of humor the wrong way. Like a lot of guys are still commenting on the whole canal thing, where I was kind of giving him a hard time about the kidney stone thing a few weeks ago. Oh, by the way, he's kind of going through that whole thing again. And a lot of guys were like thinking I was really bagging on him. I wasn't. I'm going to talk about a few things in this video. If you were one of these people that left one of these comments that I'm going to talk about, don't take it personally, because I don't take it personally, but I do want to discuss it, and it gets back to the P word. Because last night as I was laying in bed, I was thinking about the P word all night. Sort of one of the reasons why I couldn't go to sleep. P word, profit. Watch, the subscriber count's just gonna fail right now. Everybody's just gonna be like, oh no, not profit, not that P word. I was thinking he was gonna talk about a different word. So here's the thing. We have had some conversation. In fact, I was having this conversation last night on this multi-stream. And as a lot of guys were in there talking about different stuff, I asked this question. I said, I get this comment a lot where guys are sort of bagging on a video or something. They're like, I would never go to work for this guy or for this company. He doesn't even have a CDL. It's not, Charlie, this is not clickbait. Kind of it is, but not really. Guys are like, oh, I would never go to work for this guy. He doesn't have a CDL. And so I'm going to talk about that for a bit as it relates to profit. I truly view any company, but specifically a transportation company, there has to be there has to be the right players in the right positions on the team. And that I think is critical. The fact that I don't have a CDL, that's like, if I'm the fat left tackle with sort of quick feet that protects the backside for the quarterback, you don't want me playing quarterback. right? I'm sort of the big fat guy at the left tackle. I'm probably not the quarterback. You don't want me playing quarterback if I'm the big fat guy, right? We just don't. I mean, unless we're on the 1 yard line and you want to stick the ball in my gut and I want to fall forward, then maybe, right? Then maybe. But as a general rule of thumb, for the other, 59 minutes of the game, you don't want me playing quarterback if I'm the big fat guy. Everybody has a role to play on the team. Okay, the fact that I don't have a CDL, that's okay. Now, the inference where a lot of guys take that is, well, but he doesn't understand what it's like. And you're right, I don't, because I don't have a CDL. I haven't lived that life. As someone pointed out in that live stream last night, I think what a lot of people maybe don't realize is I did grow up in trucking in the sense that my dad was a driver for 30 some odd years. I have seen the ugliest side of trucking. I sure have. You're right, Ike. A lot of times you don't want the head coach to play quarterback. Everybody has a role, and that's the key thing is when you find a really good team, more often than not, they're going to win. I mean, you sort of take the Patriots, and I know they're kind of a love-hate team, and that's fine, but they've got a lot of guys that are the right players in the right spots. And the most beautiful thing about what Belichick and those guys do is they find players that a lot of people don't even have on their radar. They find players that a lot of people don't even want. But these guys come in and they're the right players, and they put them in the right system, and they let those players do what they do well, and they're successful. Far more often than not, they're successful. They achieve profitability far more often than not. Man, Shadow Wolf, I was waiting for somebody old school to come in and mention Refrigerator Perry back for the Chicago Bears, back when McMahon and those guys won the Super Bowl way, golly, I don't even remember what year that was. Somebody might remember. But that's exactly right. There are times when you give the fat guy the ball, right? That's for sure. So the difference is our company, we've sort of built from the ground up, if you will, and we acquired a company that kind of went out of business. But from the transportation's perspective, we spent a year talking with a lot of drivers about what was important, learning everything that we could from as low a level as we could to kind of get up to to have a company that's going to be successful. And you kind of just mentioned, but the Patriots cheat. You know what? They probably do a little bit. I think probably every organization is trying to get an angle. I mean, that's sort of what you want to do. You want to find that angle, whatever it is. Charles McDaniel says it was 1985. I'll take your word on that. That seems about right. You've always got to have an angle, which gets me to kind of cost per mile. I haven't talked about cost per mile in a couple weeks. So anybody that is throwing up right now because we're going to talk about cost per mile for a minute, give me a little grace. It's been a while. Somebody else made the comment the other day on a video, and they said, hey man, any driver that runs a single truck that wants to track profitability like you do is just nuts. That's crazy. I disagree. Now, again, we factor a lot of costs that a single truck wouldn't have. Nor am I advocating that if you're not really solid in Excel, that you go and spend, we've got 2 years into this Excel program, right? It just continues to evolve, which is a good thing. But there are plenty of software systems that you can probably go and purchase for cheap that will allow you to achieve what we've kind of built from the ground up, from scratch. And so maybe like UConn said, that's a way for you to cheat the system, right? You can go spend a few bucks and have what you need to ensure profit for you, which means you succeed. If that means you go find an accountant, a transportation accountant, that can help you create that spreadsheet. Oh, by the way, you could have that individual not just dealing with your cost per mile, but they can also help you with your taxes, where you need to spend money, when you need to spend money, how you want to depreciate your assets, blah, blah, blah. For a few $100 a year, that might be another good way to sort of cheat that system. But I think not tracking those pennies, that profit, I think that's a really bad way to have success in your business. So I sort of said, I replied back to the individual and I was like, yeah, I disagree. I don't think it's nuts. I think it's sort of key to your business. You have to know cost. You have to know profitability and those sorts of things if you want to be successful. In the last many months, right, rates have been so high, anybody can go out and be successful. I get that. How are you setting your business up for when things change? It is February. I talked to Wilbur yesterday. He said freight is changing. Rates are changing. He's seeing truck to load to truck ratios very different than they have been in the past several months. And you're right, you can, especially if you want to grow, especially. But here's the thing. So the guy, I haven't responded back yet, but the guy followed back up his original comment and my reply with something to this effect. Do your guys talk to you whenever they're planning a route to find out if that's the best route? Do your guys ask you if this is the right way to go relative to a tollway or going out of route? I don't think so. Newsflash, some of those guys do, and I want to talk about that for just a minute too. We have some guys that have been with us for a while and they do things exceptionally well. Those guys I have a lot of trust in. They trust me. They trust that I'm going to go do my job, right? If I'm the big fat left tackle, they trust that I'm going to go do my job that's going to ensure our company is profitable and that they get paid. That's what they trust me to do. I trust them that they're going to route plan correctly because they do far more often than not. They know what their cost per mile is because I share that with them. That allows them to make that decision of whether or not they want to take that tollway or they want to go out of route and not pay the toll. And there's a lot of factors that come into play, guys. It's not just that one single factor of tollway versus not tollway. There's weather, there's time, there's the load, there's just a whole lot of factors that may in fact warrant paying more and taking that tollway. It just could be the case. Every situation is different. So many businesses within trucking are different. But you've got to focus on that piece. You got to focus on that piece of the puzzle. I saw a comment last night on a different, it was one of these Facebook forums that in trucking, and some individual had made a comment, something to the effect of, I booked a load for 200 miles for $500 or $550. And I guess he found out from the shipper or the receiver that the load paid the broker $1,100. And the person's comment was, that is absolutely ridiculous. Brokers should not be allowed to make that much money, blah, blah, blah. That is unfair. And I wasn't and I actually did reply to that comment, as did a whole host of other people. And what most people were saying was sort of what I said, which was, so if the broker saw your profit and they deemed that it was too much and they wanted some of your profit, would that be fair? Of course not. And I said, do you see how ridiculous that sounds? I sort of finished my comment with, it's your business to know your business. You need to know what your costs are. You need to know the lanes that you run, the areas that you run, what the rates are, what the truck to load ratios are. You need to be pricing and negotiating to the best of your ability to achieve the P word, profit. The broker did obviously a pretty good job when they booked that load or they negotiated that price with the customer, right? You just sort of just got outsold is really what happened there. You got outplayed. That's nobody's fault but yours. If you don't understand your cost per mile or what your costs of doing business are, you don't understand those lanes, those rates, all those sorts of things, you're giving profit to somebody else. And if you're fine with that, then so be it. I'm just not. So for those that say, oh, it's a waste of time or it's all those sorts of things, I just think that we're more dedicated, right? I just think that we have people that are more dedicated and more focused on the P word. What's Little Dog saying about the P word? It does leave a lot to be interpreted, but we're talking about profit, Little Dog. It's been a while. I haven't talked about cost per mile. I just felt like today was the day. Largely because I started my morning by drinking a cup that had dog food in it, and that was not intentional. Joseph Cummings says Bucko Kilroy was the dirtiest player when he was with the Eagles. Then he recruited for the Patriots. That's funny. Guys, you always have to find an angle, and that angle in business starts with understanding your costs and how to achieve profitability, and the P word. If you're missing that target, if you're missing that focus on your business, that's okay. It's your business, right? It's your business to know your business. For us, every stinking penny matters. And, let me finish that other thought. So we have some drivers that I trust to do that job, route plan, and all that sort of stuff on their own because they're phenomenal. But we have drivers that are coming in that are new as we've gone through a little bit of growth here recent. And I've had some conversations in the last week with some of these drivers, and they're trying really hard. They're making some mistakes. That's okay. But we're trying to do some hand-holding, whether that's me, whether that's Howard, whether that's Dave, having some of these other drivers that are really exceptional, kind of communicate with some of these newer drivers about how to do some of these things really, really well. And I want to say this to a lot of these newer drivers that have come in the door. In an industry where a lot of people have ego, I mean, we all have egos. In that industry where a lot of guys have egos, a lot of these drivers are willing to put that ego on the shelf, and they're willing to listen and learn. And it is impressive, and it is invigorating to see guys so willing to just say, man, I'm going to trust the system. I'm going to trust this process. I'm going to try to improve and be better. And there's not a lot of ego on the door. They're checking the ego at the door, and that's really a cool, invigorating thing. That is something that excites me because they understand that there is a process and that it leads to success, and that's a good thing for all of us. So that's kind of my 2 cents this morning. We're almost 20 minutes in. P word's important. Understand your rates, your lanes, your business, your cost. Focus on it. Ensure that you're going to get as much of it as you can. Rates have been great. It's probably going to be tough over the next, 4, 5, 6 weeks. April is the next inflection point, as most of us know. But these next 6 weeks is an opportunity when rates decrease and freight volumes decrease. It's an opportunity for us to potentially either lose a lot of money, leave money at the table, or be sure and capture as much as you can. And you only do that if you understand your costs. Big Yeti says, I want to improve my profit. So do I, Big Yeti. I know you do as well. There's a lot of guys that do. The question is, who's willing to put in the work? Who's willing to dedicate some time and some money into doing that to ensure that they take the really hardcore look at themselves? Steve and I go back and forth all the time. Hardcore, throwing darts at each other, questioning each other on what's the right thing to do, why we're making this decision, that sort of stuff. And that is good for business. That is really good for business, to question each other a lot of times. We try to have fun with it, though. It doesn't get personal and that sort of stuff. It stays at a sarcastic, it's just like good friends just sort of jabbing each other, right? We're not like, making full left hooks. It's just jabs, and it's fun, and it makes for fun business. That's sort of what you want to work with. Gary Compton, you're exactly right. You do have to be able to adapt. In technology or IT, companies spend millions of dollars and many thousands of man hours developing some technology to come to market. Typically, whenever you bring some new technology to market, you have about 18 months is your window of opportunity. So once your product sort of gets out, whether that means it's out in the market or somebody just hears about it, you have about 18 months of good revenue and good profitability before somebody comes out and improves your widget. In trucking, the crazy thing about trucking is our windows of opportunity spike so high and the lows are so low. We typically don't have 18 months. Our windows are highly compressed and really volatile. I mean, Wilbur and I were talking yesterday sometime, and he mentioned that freight out of Salt Lake was really good last week, and literally this week he's like, it's almost dead. It's crazy. How does that happen? Good sarcasm makes people think. Well, either that, Mike, or it aggravates a lot of people. One of the two, right? A lot of people really, they struggle, and I don't have much of a sense of humor. I don't think. It's just really dry. So if people don't know my sarcasm, I think a lot of it's missed. You kind of can't read half your comments now, and you know that. But you do have to be willing and able. Actually, I want to repeat that. Gary's comment was you've got to be able to adapt, and you got to be willing to adapt. You got to be willing to adapt. And so, how are you going to adapt over the next 6 weeks to ensure that your profitability is strong? Let me jump up and try to answer a couple questions. I'll give you guys your day back. Michael Cartwright, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Charlie, the moral of the story is check your red Solo cup. Make sure there's not dog food in it. That's the moral of the story. Good morning, Kevin and Ollie. Kevin, I got your email. I owe you a phone call. TJ's in here. How are you, TJ? No, it's not. No, I'm not going to be gripey today. I mean, I just sort of looked down at Briggs, and I don't know that Briggs knew, but he did sort of have that, tilt, like, what are you doing, drinking out of my cup, kind of a thing. He did have that look on his face. So I wouldn't recommend. I forgot what kind of dog food that was. I wouldn't recommend it as a dietary supplement. That's probably not all that great. So that's not the way to start off the day. But no, it's not going to lead to a bad day. I just lost another. Tell you what, talking about keeping things in perspective. I've got some friends of mine. There's 3 brothers. Lost one of them about a year and a few months ago. Their father just passed away a few days ago. And talking about focusing on the details, he's been battling some cancer for a couple of years now. And then all of a sudden, some of the treatments they were doing just wasn't working. And then all of a sudden, he goes back into the hospital. Things are going bad, and they realized they've been treating the complete wrong cancer in the wrong part of his body. And they said, you've got about 3 to 6 months, and that was 3 weeks. Actually, that's not even true. I lied. That was about a week and a half. They sent him home. Said, here's some morphine. Go make yourself comfortable. So I got that phone call a couple days ago. So it sort of gives you an opportunity just to have a little perspective in life and business. So I'm not going to be upset about dog food in my cup. But there's that. Mike says, thanks for the live feed this morning. Scott gets the day off thinking. Appreciate what you're doing. Well, you're welcome. Yukon is right. You want to tighten up the P word. You want to tighten up your focus on the profitability of your business. That is for sure. What was that? I can't even pronounce. Is it alien? No, it's not alien. Golly, I can't really read that. That's how bad my eyes are. Yesterday I saw it was the first day it's rained. And by rain, I mean it sprinkled for a few minutes, off and on for 30 minutes. So it's the first time I've seen rain since I think September. So that was unique for Phoenix. It's a little cloudy today, but it is going to be a nice day. That's for sure. I hope it's going to be a good day for you guys too. That's it, really. As Yukon says, tighten up your P word. Profitability is a key. Make sure you're focused on their costs. You guys have a good day. Just my opinions from this side of the steering wheel. If you guys are making miles, as always, you guys stay safe. Take care.